All right, we're in the final part of our lecture for today. Today is quite a short lecture, I think. It's going to be issues in science journalism. So, first question: should the science journalist have a degree in science? Well, based on the global survey among science journalists, they think that having a degree in science is not as important as being a well-trained, being a person who reports the fact independently, neutrally, and in an original manner. So they don't see that having a science background is important, a science background for from a tertiary institution. However, most of them receive education from tertiary education. So, yeah, could this be an issue in science journalism? I would say yes, because firstly, translating the information from the from science information from the sources will be taking the science journalists some time, as the science information are rather complex. Okay. Next, the ethos or the roles of a science journalist. Based on the survey, the Global Science Journalist Survey, they say that they see their roles as to inform, to translate complex materials, and also to educate. However, these are rather not critical roles. What do I mean by that? So, when disseminating science information, journalists could be a mere science transmission vehicle, or they could also involve in investigative journalism. So, in the convention of science transmission, science journalists function as a disseminator of the information. They are not independent. They must depend on the sources. Um, they cannot be scrutinized. They cannot scrutinize the information or the findings that they found related to science issues, and they cannot question a lot. In fact, they will see science as a sacred values. So when you see something as sacred, you don't really question a lot. Just yeah. But if you do investigative journalism, the ideal way of seeing a investigative journalism is you work as a watchdog. Watchdog means you will keep an eye on whatever is happening, and you will, look for it and investigate what's behind it. You are guarding people against the powerful and ensuring justice is done. So it's rather different than the convention of science transmission. Um, I'm not sure whether you know about this story. It's the Huang scandal and the Korean press. So, Dr. Huang Woo-suk is a prominent figure in stem cells research. However, one of the producer program director in Korea, Dr. Huang is in Korea, managed to found that his work was actually fake. He fabricated some of his findings, um, and it's kind of funny because all of his research has boosted up his reputation, but eventually they are all fake. So this this program director, did an investigative journalism. So the question is, can we have a journalist who produce independent, accurate, and critical report on science? The answer is independent, accurate, and critical reporting is rather expensive. It costs in time, money, and human resources. And in some part, it probably gonna cost the life of the reporter or the journalist themselves. Next, when the science journalists were asked what sort of sources of scientific information that they use for their news or their work, they say that mostly are the personal contacts or the repo that they already have established previously. So, when you're working as a journalist, you would be meeting the same person because you're asking for the same information, then you're going to establish a rapport. And as you work, as the longer you work, the more rapport that you have, you will have higher trust with the sources. The sources could be a government official, it could be a scientist, it could be anyone. Um, so that's the sources of their scientific information or personal contacts. And mostly these personal contacts are highly credible people. So that's why they establish the rapport. That's why the science journalists establish the rapport with them. Secondly is the conference, science conference. Thirdly is the press release, press officers, followed by other media outlets, blogged by working scientists. And then you have the science journals and you have news wires, you have other science journal, Nature and Science. So you can see that I would say that this reliance on scientific sources of scientific information is due to their routines, like we have discussed earlier before, that they are working in a tight deadline, so they have to, they have to go and get scientific information which that is convenient to them, which is a personal context, which when they can get a conference, if they can attend conference, or whenever they can receive a press release. However, they also mentioned that credibility of the sources is important. Next is also the issues, because with a lot of issues of in science journalism, the latest trends in um, the latest trends in journalism is philanthrojournalism, which means reporter without orders. This is seen as a way of bridging the crisis of journalism and securing its social mission to provide independent news information under adverse conditions. Most of these initiatives are supported by charitable foundation, so far mainly in US and UK, to support a truly independent and and investigative style of journalism. Like if you remember that media organization, if you remember in the earlier in the lecture, I've shown you that media organization are in the middle of are under a lot of pressure also for social forces. So and they also need to meet the social demand and also the economic demand. But if we have this philanthrojournalism as the latest way that's sponsoring the science journalism, we will also receive a truly independent news where science journalists can um, involve in investigative journalism without having any social forces or any demand from their own media organization. But that's currently happening in US and UK, so I'm not sure whether that's happening in Malaysia. Um, so yep, that's the challenges in science journalism. So as for today, the end of for to end our lecture today, I have a question for you, which is a tutorial. You have to share your ideas on how to improve science journalism. Um, this is the link. This link is actually your online attendance. So if you click on the online attendance, it's also your tutorial. So click on that, write your name and your matrix number, and also write your answer for this question. That's all from me today. These are the references that I've used for today's lecture. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.